Hello, welcome to When We Cry Smoking Room. Today we are going to be discussing if you should be reading Umineko first or Higurashi first. We're going to have a heated debate style, breaking people's hearts with facts and logic, or whatever that means.
Indeed.
Very Erica style. Erica versus Maria style. Anyway, so... on the Umineko side,
before
Umineko
that,
first side.
Beware of spoilers for both Umineko and Higurashi.
Oh, yes.
Get out of here if you haven't read both of those.
Yeah, today, because we are discussing the nature of what should come first, we are going to thoroughly spoil you on both subjects, both Umineko and Higurashi. We're going to talk about the very end and why it's important for either of those to be first. So be ready for that. So get out of here before you can. Click your eyes out. I don't know. So let's introduce people on the left side of the corner. I don't know, where's the left? There's people who are Umineko first. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Ho 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 ho. I guess that is me. I am Des. I'm gonna be defending the position of you should read Umineko first. And if you don't agree with me, prepare to die the death.
Wow, honestly speaking, who could beat that? I would also like to put a disclaimer. In my memory, I do have memory of discussing with Des about how Umineko should come first while he argued for Higurashi first.
No.
This did not happen.
No, that was another fragment. That isn't the fragment we're on right now. Come on, that was another game board
timeline.
And I just like to put that out there. Oh, I think I didn't even get to introduce myself yet. This is Mushroom. You can also call me Mush. I would also be discussing how I think it should be Umineko first. So on the left side of the corner, is that what I said right first, right?
Who knows?
I think you said left.
Anyway, we have Higurashi first, who wants to come and introduce themselves into the ring.
Okay, I'll introduce myself. Higurashi should come first. So,
objection.
My name is Red Erratic, and that's all I have to say about that. Literally, Higurashi should come first, and it's going to be a heated debate. This is going to be an actual boxing
Don't worry,
match.
Red Erratic.
I have my Phoenix sprites prepared.
I know all our viewers agree with us, Red Erratic.
Yes, they do.
That Higurashi should come first, and I am ready.
Wait, sorry. I have a question. Did my brain literally exploded that I was supposed to argue for Higurashi first, but some...
Wait, Mushroom?
Wait, sorry. I think I literally had an aneurysm and died as a person.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, listeners, let me explain to our listeners what just happened. Okay, before we started recording, Mushroom was like, oh, why is Des arguing that Umineko should come first? I'm pretty sure he said Higurashi should come first. I have distinct memories of arguing with him that he was defending Higurashi should come first. And Mushroom could swear that she was the one defending Umineko first. And now Anonymous has exposed her. Anonymous posted a print of Mushroom saying, quote, "Oh, ready to fight this. I am a super Higurashi first person." Liar. You're a liar.
Actually, let me
gaslighting us, Mushroom. Turning it against us from the beginning.
I'm not even... wait, give me a second. This is so embarrassing. Okay, sorry, just kidding. Let's restate this fight. We're here to annihilate Des. I'm a super Higurashi.
Oh no!
Wait,
what? That's okay. I don't need allies. I don't need allies when I've got the truth on my tongue. How do you pronounce that? What the fuck? How do you pronounce?
Guys, just saying, wrestling is all about show, and the whole point is to have very good twists and turns. And clearly, in this scenario, I'm the heel, and everybody else is the face.
Objection!
There is one imposter among us.
There's obvious contradiction in your testimony.
So, who wants to go first? Who wants to start presenting their theory?
Let me just say this real quick. I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the Higurashi-first stance is the most common. And that's like the default stance. So I'd like to hear the Umineko-first
Yes,
stance.
and it'll also make it easier to rip
demolish
Des in half.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna step on him.
Listen to me, you fucking goats. As much as I wholeheartedly believe that Umineko should come first, I think the Higurashi group should start by arguing why Higurashi should come first. Because my arguments build upon what you're most likely than not gonna use as arguments. So, please start, dear opponents.
Well, okay.
What is this 4D mind game that's already happening?
Okay, this is what you do in a job interview. Like, you turn it on the interviewer.
No,
make
see,
him
Des
answer questions.
Des is being quite the witch right now.
Yeah.
Making us reveal our revs before he reveals his.
Well, I suppose we can go first. Do you want to all go down and list our points individually, or do you want to just gang up on him in a group?
That's okay.
I think we'd better list our points individually, because otherwise, people might get confused.
I think they're already confused, to be honest.
I'm confused.
Yes. Okay. Once the debate starts, everything will become clear. Let's keep it civil. No punching in the face. No biting.
Oh, man.
Okay. If you want to go first, Anonymous, I think you should list your points first, since you come first in our Discord list right here.
Well, I was really banking on Des going first, so this is a bit of a surprise, but I guess I'll just have to go anyway. So, I don't really understand the viewpoint of Umineko-first, because to be quite frank, I think Umineko-first reveals a bit much about Higurashi. Let's take Burn Castile, for example. Burn Castile, you already know she has some sort of tragic past. She's described as having gone through a torturous game board, and she certainly seems like she's been through a lot. Uncaring, later on, cruel.
Mm-hmm.
And so that clearly reveals a character who has really just been through it. And, you know, by playing Umineko-first, you see this Burn Castile character, you're like, okay, wow, she's kind of a jerk. And you go to Higurashi and, well, what's this? Rika looks the same. Well, Rika looks very similar. They kind of have different color hair. But, they look very similar. This Rika girl, there must be more to her than meets the eye. You already get this expectation that Rika's not silly Nipa girl. She is someone that must go through a lot of strife, a lot of torture.
Yeah.
And you already get this idea due to the whole kind of game board aspect of Umineko. You get this idea that there's more going on in this story than meets the eye, that perhaps there's something more meta going on because of what you've seen in Umineko.
What you're saying, Anonymous, is it spoils. It's a big spoiler for the mystery. It kind of ruins the Higurashi experience. That's what I'm getting from you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got to agree with him on that point, because Rika is portrayed by Higurashi as just a side character, and then close to the last quarter of the story, there's the twist that, actually Rika is way more important than any of these characters. And yeah, definitely that ended up not being a big reveal for me, since I had already put 2 and 2 together and figured, okay, that's what's going on.
Yes.
Do you have anything else to add, Anonymous?
No, I was gonna hand over the reins to you or Mushroom. We don't want to oversaturate Des after all.
Yeah, very true. We're gonna give him a fighting chance.
Well,
No.
so far, you just mentioned one point and then disagreed with you.
Yeah.
So I think we're doing pretty good.
Hey. Okay. Let me place a disclaimer here. I'm a rational human being. Okay, I can see the both sides of the coin, Mushroom. I'm not. I'm okay, as much as I like to act as a monkey brain here on the podcast, just for entertainment value, and I'm definitely gonna continue to act as a monkey brain because that's just funny to me. I've got to agree to that. Reading Higurashi first does have its pros, and reading Umineko first has its cons, and one of them is the reveal that Rika is actually much more important than she seems to be. Like, I've got to agree with that.
You know what, like, Des, if I agree with some of your points, I'll be the first to come out and say it, but I'm just so curious to see what they actually are. Like, I have no idea what you're planning.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean,
it's
while
nothing
you guys
that
are talking,
groundbreaking. It's nothing too big. It's just
Really? But you
arguments
said it was.
that... No, there are arguments, everyone can come to that conclusion, but they are solid arguments, even though they're simple arguments. They are strong, at least in my opinion. You will be the judges of that.
Okay. We'll get there when we get there.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mushroom, would you like to list some points?
yes. Okay. Oh my god, my phone just rang. Yes, I would love to list some points. So, funniest thing is, I did have this argument with Des in the first place in the miscellaneous chat in the first place. So I just was able to find all my points listed in order. So that's good.
Oh.
Yeah, big as wall of text.
Oh, it's okay. You can also find Des' big wall of text he posted after I posted this. So, so one of the reasons why I think Higurashi should come first before Umineko is actually that I think Higurashi sets up a lot of expectations of the story. Ryukishi's work is built in a way that I feel like each of his work is kind of built holistically on top of each other. So Higurashi introduced the idea of like, oh, time loops or things like, and then maybe what you think is real is not real, and so on and so forth, things like that. And I think with that all in mind, it makes it really interesting when you go into Umineko, because when I entered Umineko, in a way, I thought it was going to be a story just like Higurashi, like it's about time loops. So I think because I took the story in the face value in the way that Ryukishi definitely wanted me to, which is that he wanted me to think like, oh, well, if Balor gets to solve what Beatrice is, maybe he can take his family off the island and all survive and happily ever after, just like how Higurashi is. Because after all, Higurashi's storyline is essentially like, despite everything shitty that's happening and all your friends are going crazy and now you're ready to bash people's brains out and rip people's nails out, it's a story about how friendship is magic, and like if you try hard enough, it all works out. And then but however, like Umineko plays on that expectation, so you think like, wow, like it's kind of, these family members are kind of shitty, but I don't want them to die. And like when you get to EP4 and you learn that like actually like this all happened in 1986 and all of them are dead, like it doesn't fucking matter, like your family's dead, and then you introduce Angel, so like then my stupid dumb brain is thinking like, well, Angel is gonna travel back in time and she's gonna help her family, and maybe she can, like, if she can't help everyone, maybe she can save one person and it will be her brother and it will be like super cute. But then when you get to like EP, like, and then you just keep going because like you have all of these expectations from Higurashi, because like one of the things that I was always felt really reassuring about Higurashi is like, no matter how shitty it is gonna be a happy ending. Like, you know, these kids are gonna make it out alive, and that's pretty cool. Like, but like when when you get to that point when Bernd Cassell says like this game, like this story has no happy ending, I was literally like, bitch, why would you say that? Like, why would you say that? And like, and that's what I think is incredibly interesting about like the difference
Bernd
between.
Cassell is like the personification of Umineko. It's so ruthless.
Yeah, so like one of the things that I find so charming about Higurashi and compared to Umineko is that like Higurashi set you up to feel confident and feel hope in a way that you're like, well, maybe like the curse isn't real, maybe like poisonous gas isn't real, maybe you're not, like maybe your friends are not secretly crazy, but maybe like it's all like this gas, it's poisoning, it's an illness, blah 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 blah. But like time loops are definitely real. And then Umineko just tears all that down. Umineko just tells you that like maybe magic isn't real, but the magic in your heart is real. Love is real. Like maybe what you need to do is move the fuck on. And I think like that's something that only like that's the type of like impact that only could happen if you read Higurashi first.
I completely agree. That's exactly what happened to me, actually. Like, I went in directly after Higurashi with all these expectations. I was like, I know what's going on, as I saw episode 2 and 3 happen. I'm like, obviously, it's another time loop thing. And then I got that smashed in my face immediately.
It's super crushing.
And I also really, really, really like that Higurashi establishes the expectation that it will probably have a happy ending, and then Umineko ends up kind of not having a uber happy ending, like the family is not saved. I think that's really cool that Ryukishi went off and kind of established these cool expectations. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Mushroom?
Oh, I have way more, but I'm not going to spring it on right now.
Okay.
Do you not see my 5 points and my wall of text?
I don't want to read them. I'll let you explain them.
Okay.
Save them for the rebuttal. Okay?
Yes, I'm excited.
So, basically,
I've got something I really want to say about something Mushroom said. Okay, Mushroom. You mentioned that reading Higurashi first would be the order that Ryukishi would want you to read. However, Ao no Shinjitsu, Higurashi came before Umineko, and there's a high probability that Ryukishi didn't even think about writing Umineko whilst writing Higurashi. So, maybe there is a possibility that Ryukishi actually prefers when people start by Umineko. It's just that Higurashi came first on the timeline of this game world that we are currently on.
Well, I think that's a very interesting idea. However, I would like to say that I think the reason why I would I would refute that idea is that I think to me it seems to be kind of obvious or interesting that Higurashi presents a lot of idea that only gets echoed or answered in Umineko. There's a lot of themes that are reversed or purposely reversed in Umineko. And also, in a way, Higurashi is way more popular, so I feel like everybody would have
because of the
gotten to
anime.
find...
It's because of the anime. Come on, you know it's because of the anime.
That's true.
It's because of the anime.
That's true.
But I agree with the rest of your points.
Yes. I guess I'll mention my first point because I feel like this is pertinent to what we were just talking about. But so there are numerous Higurashi Easter eggs in Umineko that reference Higurashi. This is true.
True.
And why would Ryukishi put those in if he didn't expect people to read Higurashi first?
You are trapped in a logic error right now, Redratic. Or would
Really?
I say logic trap? Because keyword you said, I don't remember what word you said, but you said some word that was very crucial in that phrase, which is that I think it was expect. Yeah, it's very likely that Ryukishi expected people who read Umineko to have already read Higurashi, but once again, that's inevitable because Higurashi came before Umineko, and also expecting someone to read Higurashi before Umineko does not mean that's what you would rather people do.
Well, let me say this.
We're having a court case right here.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of Ryukishi intending for this, I'll argue without Ryukishi's intentions involved. I'm just arguing from the outside perspective of people going in to play the games, not knowing anything about intentions. But if you play Higurashi first, let's say I'm recommending that you go play Higurashi to someone who's not played it. I say go play Higurashi, and then once you get to Umineko, you will have an incredibly cool few experiences where these Easter eggs pop up, and you're like, wait a second, that's referencing Higurashi, and I think that experience is amazing. Personally.
I cannot fathom the experience of seeing Burn Castell for the first time in Umineko. That must be like the high point of the lifetime of a When They Cry fan.
That's the biggest like mind fuck for everyone. They're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And then the second mindfuck comes when you meet Featherine.
Yeah.
Featherine is literally the biggest bitch possible. Like, Featherine's like, I am the author. I outrank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the characters have little... okay, there are literally characters who are from Higurashi that pop up in Umineko. And that's incredibly interesting when you're playing through and you're trying to make connections, but it's pretty difficult to actually...
yeah, what the fuck you doing there, Okanogi? Huh?
Yeah,
what you doing
get
there,
out of here, Okanogi. What are you doing? I thought that was so strange. And then, Featherine looks a lot like Hanyu, so is Ryukishi saying that it is Hanyu, or perhaps that she has similar traits as Hanyu, or you're supposed to associate her?
She's close enough to Hanyu so that you can kind of make a correlation, but she's distinct enough from Hanyu that you just can't make any sense of it until you think about it for like 20 hours. Just about that topic.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have that experience unless you played Higurashi first. Because you would just be like, these are all new characters to me. Wow, they're being introduced. Amazing.
Actually, I had that experience. You don't need to read Higurashi first. You just need to read Higurashi after Umineko.
But then you'll be like, oh, Hanyu is correlated with Featherine. Yeah.
I mean, okay. I guess that really depends on what you enjoy in When They Cry. Because if you enjoy, like... I don't know what to call it, but for example, my favorite thing in When They Cry is the meta world. So, from the perspective of someone who really enjoys the mechanics of the meta world, first getting to know Featherine and then getting to kind of piece the things together while reading Higurashi is just, to me, a much more valuable experience than getting to meet Hanyu first and then getting that big reveal once you meet with Featherine in Umineko.
So what you're saying, Des, is that you get a different kind of surprise than the people who read Higurashi first, like in a way that you learn, just like how people read Higurashi first and they knew who Hanyu is, and then go on and learn Featherine. Like, that's a twist for the Higurashi first people. What you're saying is that, like, going back to read Higurashi next makes it have like a reverse kind of twist. Like, you're still surprised and confused when you meet Hanyu and she's like a nice person.
Not quite because everyone fucking knows about Hanyu. I knew about Hanyu before getting into When They Cry. She's everywhere. So I wouldn't say there's a twist. I
didn't know about Hanyu.
But there's a different way of being introduced to a different character. And if you meet Hanyu first, when you meet Featherine, you're like, hey, I think I know you. But if you meet Featherine first and then you meet Hanyu, you're like, oh, okay. Okay, no, actually, I'm gonna go back on that. I guess it's not that different after all, actually. I don't know.
Like,
No, I don't know.
I'm
I just kind of
imagining
confused myself. I confused myself in the middle of my argument.
Oh.
I'm just gonna not argue, use this argument because I myself am in the middle of trying to reason how I feel about this. I know for a fact it's a different experience for different reasons, but I don't think right now I'm capable of getting into that topic. I don't think I don't know. I guess I haven't thought about this enough to be able to have this discussion.
Let me put this out here for you, Des. I'm imagining myself playing Umineko first and going into Higurashi. I think when Hanyu would be introduced to me, I'd be incredibly confused. Even more confused than I would be in the reverse, because Hanyu is so different. Like, she's this little caring blob of moe, right? Like, who eventually ends up she stops being apathetic towards the situation and actually tries to help her friends. And like, I would be suspicious of her because I would be suspicious from her from the beginning if I had played Umineko first.
Yes, okay, yeah, you've got a point on that. I was definitely really suspicious of everything she did, but I didn't find it weird. I really didn't find it weird that she was so different from Featherin. Because coming from Umineko, we already have a better understanding of the meta world. And I was like, oh, okay, Hanyu is to Featherin what Erika is to Burn Castell, I guess.
You know, did you play Umineko first, Des? I guess I should have clarified this.
Okay, oh, yeah, maybe I should have said it. Yeah, I played Umineko first. That's why I have this... You usually always prefer to recommend people start where you also started. I'm pretty sure if I had started with Higurashi, I'd be here agreeing with all of you. But since I started with Umineko, I'm on the opposite side.
That's exactly the situation I experience in all sorts of stuff, like sub versus dub anime. I recommend whatever I watch first. Like, I'm serious.
I will crush you on that.
Well, no, like, this is just my experience. Whenever I watch dubbed anime, usually that's what I get used to, and like, I can't switch to sub because I'm just used to it, and that's what I recommend. Then I'm just like, oh, it's pretty good. Go watch it. If I watch subbed, then dubbed sounds like it's like my ears will start bleeding if I go watch a dub. If I started with sub, so that's kind of a similar situation here. Very interesting.
Okay.
I'm just going to add one final point, because I don't really have any arguments to add on top of what Mushroom and Anonymous said, but there are two things. The games were released in that order, Higurashi, Umineko, and so the vast majority of the fan base played them as such. So I would say playing it like that is what the experience most people went through. So if you want to have an experience that everyone definitely enjoyed, do that.
Okay,
and then
I
chronologically, in the games themselves, Higurashi comes first, chronologically.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I definitely agree with you that that's the experience most people are gonna have, but I'm pretty sure that isn't because Higurashi came first. It's the reason people start with Higurashi. It's because people only know about Higurashi. Ain't nobody knows about Umineko before getting into visual novels.
Yes.
That is the case for me, actually.
Yeah. Okay. I am going to argue and not even. I'm gonna. This is starting my new argument now. So I'm not going to argue about author intent. I'm not even gonna argue about chronological order, when it came first and when one came next. I want to argue from a story standpoint why I think Higurashi should come first for Umineko. And where I'm going to argue this is I'm going to argue about your detective, like deducing brain and detective brain. So what I wanted to do is talk about how what I think is very interesting that Higurashi introduced is that one of the first things is Higurashi introduced the idea of that what we see might not be what's actually happening. This is a very good thing that Higurashi explained it in a very easy way that you can be like, oh, so when I see like Keiichi losing his fucking shit and beating his friends, maybe that's not exactly what's happening, or like, oh, if, and like, especially what I think is the best part of that illustrates this issue is the whole Mion and Shion's like arc about how you think it is Shion, but it's actually Mion, and which the person who you think is Mion could be Shion, and so on and so forth, because that idea comes very smoothly to introduce the idea of like, well, two people could share the same, quote unquote, identity or the same face, which becomes a very good, like, just like in the fact how D likes to talk about how, D, another guest of ours, likes to talk about how, having things like Nox or having things like these different kinds of theories will help you understand Umineko as a mystery. Higurashi is built in a way that I believe that Yukichi gave us chops to, or like just slightly showing his hand to see like, these are the things that I could do to fuck with a story.
Yeah.
So the idea of Mion Shion stuff could introduce you to the idea, when you get to Umineko, you'd be like, okay, there's a person named Beatrice, but is there like a bunch of people share the name of Beatrice? And like, even in the meta world speaking, there's a bunch of people share the name of Beatrice. Like there's there's Evatrice, there's Beatrice Virgilia, like all, like so on and so forth. And that would really help to understand that. And the second idea that I think it's really charming about Higurashi...
Can I just say something before you move along to the next idea? Because like, I strongly disagree with the idea you just presented, because I think it's the other way around, actually. Because see, if you don't have Higurashi as that clue, it's gonna be much more harder for you to get to the conclusion that, oh, what kind of mindfuckery is going on in here with Beatrice? And I maybe some people prefer having that clue. I think it's a better experience if Umineko is harder, but maybe some people find it more interesting from a story standpoint if you have that clue from Higurashi. And in the same way, retroactively, if you go to Higurashi after finishing Umineko, since Batra is such a reliable narrator, like, magic never happens in front of Batra. Batra's view on the game board is always accurate. You go into Higurashi, and Higurashi it's much harder because you're seeing Keiichi spiral into paranoia, but you just don't interpret that as paranoia because you just came from a visual novel where the narrator is 100% reliable. So even Higurashi gets much more harder. And I really like the difficulty in When They Cry. So that's why I really value going into Higurashi with Umineko as baggage for the mystery to be harder to solve. But once again, many different perspectives. Maybe people who prefer the story aspect prefer Higurashi first because of the way that translates into Umineko. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that idea you shared.
Dust, you say you liked Umineko with more difficulty, did you?
Yeah, I love when Umineko fucking beats the shit out of me.
What if I tell you that Umineko was very difficult for me because of Keiichi being such an unreliable narrator? I instantly suspected Battler was an unreliable narrator, and in fact, my suspicions about Battler led to my driving Battler culprit theory that I believed in for like the entire question arcs. So, due to my previous experience with Higurashi, I had a sort of bias in which I assumed, there's probably the supposed magic because Battler is being such an unreliable narrator. So in fact, reading Higurashi first did make Umineko a bit more difficult for me.
That's really interesting.
Wow, we're learning so much about each other.
Very interesting. I'll just tell you my experience. I had never actually thought about how Higurashi kind of helps you get through Umineko until Mushroom just mentioned it earlier, and I completely agree. Like, it helped me actually get through. Like, I personally don't like when my games step on me like Des does and like grind my face into the ground. Like, I like to have something to hold on to try to put my thoughts together in a cohesive manner. And I think I would have actually kind of started to despair a bit if I didn't have something to go off of, if I had just gone into Umineko blind. I'm thinking back, and I might have not even... I probably would have finished Umineko if I had started with it first, because it is super interesting, even if you start to despair. I just might have taken a lot longer and needed breaks, because I would have been just like, oh my god, I can't handle this. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and I think, like, another thing that I found interesting that what Des mentioned about how he likes it Umineko harder, but, like, I think even back when Ryukishi was writing it, like, Umineko was already hard enough for his fans who, like, bought it immediately at, like, Kamike, and, like, people were so upset after reading, like, EP2 that they were like fucking, they were just so fucking done, and like, and how like Ryukishi just had to scrap like his whole like EP3 decision and be like, okay, I need to be like nicer to these people or my readers are gonna fucking flip. So like,
I need to be nicer. Proceeds to make an episode that's completely deceiving and has a big twist at the end, which is just, hey, the episode was all a farce. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He added brawn tubes though, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think like EP3 is a good, but EP3 in a way, it's like built in a way that like makes it easier for you to understand, like, oh, like trickery's everywhere, and also like maybe you should really not be believing this whole like magic bullshit.
Yeah.
And like I think there's like some types of things that really helps you understand like the whole story bits, and like I think I do understand Des in your way of saying that like it could work both ways, in a way that like Umineko could help you like teach you a bunch of skills for you to be easier to solve Higurashi, because after all the last time I was having this argument, actually, we were talking with Sushi. I don't know how many episodes has Sushi been on, but Sushi, who's also a person who believes that Higurashi should come first, talks about how Higurashi, after all, is not really a mystery, in a way that it doesn't give you enough bits and pieces to solve. So I could totally see if you have went into Umineko first, it would be better, it would be easier, or slightly easier for you to piece together like how to solve like Higurashi, even without the fact that like it doesn't present you a lot of or not answers, but like a lot of hints, and then you can be like, oh, maybe this is happening because you already experienced Umineko, so you understand the whole like magic bullshit.
I really disagree, Mushroom, because as you said, I also
I
agree
literally
with...
just yes-anded you.
What?
Sorry, continue.
No, what did you say? Sorry.
I said, how could you disagree? I literally just agreed that I understand that how you would think reading Higurashi next would be better.
No. I disagree with the specific part, which is that exactly as Sushi said, I completely agree with Sushi that Higurashi isn't it's a casual mystery. It's like a mystery in the same sense that Attack on Titan is a mystery. Like, it's a mystery that's supposed to have amazing twists. It's not a mystery that's supposed to give you clues and expect you to find the answer. And like,
true.
Even if you come from Umineko with all of that knowledge about mystery novels, that doesn't help you in Higurashi, because Higurashi just isn't a mystery novel. So I don't think that Umineko helps you at all with solving the game board part of Higurashi. What it does help you understand...
Then what is the point of reading Umineko?
Wait. What it does help you understand is the meta world. Because reading Higurashi first, you just don't know what the fuck's happening every time the meta world pops up. But if you read Umineko first, you do understand it. And once again, from the perspective of someone who really likes the meta world, that's just fucking delicious. And once again, Umineko doesn't help you solve Higurashi, because Higurashi gives you no fucking clues up until like Tsumi Horobishi, I guess, which is like 3 episodes before the series ends. So yeah. And then the mystery solved on the next episode after that. So really, Higurashi really isn't meant to be solved. It's meant to take you on a ride.
Damn. Honestly speaking, the more you say this, I'm just like, people should just not read Higurashi. Just read Umineko and that's it. Like,
what?
Like,
No.
Objection?
That's heresy. How dare you?
Blasphemer.
Look at all of these bad takes.
Oh my god. I mean, honestly,
defend
that's
yourself.
really funny.
No.
I'm just kidding. I think what I find is incredibly funny about, like, I think I would actually like to go back to what Des talked about the meta world, is that, like, I actually really enjoy how the meta world is incorporated in Umineko, because I think, like, after all, like, Higurashi doesn't lay heavy on the meta world. Like, Higurashi, like, meta world is introduced, it is teased, it is, like, kind of played with, but, like, not really in, like, a very just, like, heavy way. Like, this, after all, like, you only meet, like, one meta world person, essentially. And then, or, like, character. But, like, in how Higurashi introduced the idea of tea party is, like, ingenious, because in Higurashi, tea parties are just cute and fun, and they're just an omake where, like, characters get around and, like, joke about it.
Yeah.
And then in Umineko, they just completely, like, destroyed that, like, expectation of, oh, tea party is a safe place where everybody's having a good time and they're just talking about, like, the afterwards, but it's a active part in the story.
Yeah.
And how, like, while, like, Higurashi just introduced the idea of meta world, Umineko lays heavy on it and, like, just tears it apart and, like, just explains, like, oh, this is how we're gonna destroy your, like, story by, like, completely, like, fucking with, like, anything you could ever possibly imagine. And I think there's something, that's something that could be only, like, experienced if you did Higurashi first and have, like, eased in to, like, Umineko. That's my thought.
Okay, then let me share with you the opposite experience, which is, okay, the biggest problem with starting with Umineko is the expectations you might have towards Higurashi. I've got to say, I was careful on that aspect. I tried to keep my expectations low, but I still expected some things. Like, I was reading Higurashi, and I was like, okay, I'm on episode 4. Where are my witches, dog? Like, you go into Higurashi expecting witches, and then Higurashi has no witches. Not to say that's a bad thing, but that's definitely an expectation you're gonna have if you read Umineko first. And once again, the tea parties and the tips, that's much different from Umineko. Umineko is continuous. It's a continuous story. Higurashi likes to stop every now and again for some tips. And yeah, it's, I don't know, it's, in a way, that kind of takes a bit of the value from Higurashi, because you go in, even if you keep your expectations low, you go in with those kinds of expectations. So I would say that, yeah, that's a good point towards starting with Higurashi, because you're not going to be disappointed in Umineko, but you may be disappointed in Higurashi.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think now that we are about 45 minutes in, I think we need to finally give Des a chance to just state an argument, because so far he's just been rebutting all our arguments.
And also agreeing with us.
Okay.
No, I think, yeah. Now is your chance to shine, Des.
Okay. Okay, so welcome to the talk of why you should read Umineko first. Man, Legend of the Golden Witch, the first episode, such a wild experience if you go in blind. Well, you start reading this and you're like 10 hours in, and you're looking at the screen, you're like, there's 8 more episodes of this? I've been reading 10 hours of one episode. When does this end? And also, you're reading through Legend of the Golden Witch and you're like, okay, that person died. Oh, look, that person also died. what the fuck? The episode ended. Why did everyone die? How will the story continue if everyone is dead? And I guess that's also an experience you get to have if you start with Higurashi. I mean, not quite, because on the first episode, only Keiichi dies, basically. I guess Rena and Mion die too. But, come on. Reading a first episode and literally every character in the story dying is... Come on, it's really weird. And jumping forward a bit, beyond the first episode, like, even well into episode 2 and episode 3, if you don't have those little clues from Higurashi about how the meta world works and how the loop system works and all of that, you're just reading Umineko completely blind, and you have no idea what's going on. You were just dropped on there, left to fend for yourself. You're just like completely lost, and that feeling of not knowing anything what's going on, not knowing how the world works, it's just that's exactly what Batra is going through. So by going into Umineko before Higurashi, you're literally living the Batra experience, getting transported into this weird world, not knowing how the fuck things work. How can someone be killed and then be there again? How can people change their appearances just by changing how they view themselves? How is there a world of concepts? It's just something very weird. It's like you're a newborn who is just born from her mother's womb, from their mother's womb, and you're just like trying to understand how the world works. You know, that's an experience you just don't get with any other piece of fiction. I feel like that's something very specific to Umineko that you only get in Umineko, and you only get if you start with Umineko.
I object to that.
How dare you, Anonymous? You better have a good argument. You better have a good argument.
I had the exact same experience with Onikakushi, in which I was left, like, I was starting to feel paranoid. I thought, I was completely on Keiichi's side. I was like, oh my god, Rina and Mion are trying to kill him. I'm going into this blind, like, I'm totally thinking, like, this is some sort of horror VN in which these, killer lollies are trying to kill me. And, at the end of it, I think he's just being hunted down, and there's, like, this town conspiracy, and then suddenly, next episode, he's back? Everything's back to normal? I got the exact same experience in Onikakushi, so it is not an experience that you can only feel by playing Umineko first.
Okay, maybe I didn't express myself correctly, because when I talk about an experience that you can only get in Umineko, I'm not talking about the loop system. I'm talking specifically about the meta world and how Batora behaves in the meta world, and just getting to know this new world separated from the world he has always lived in.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to.
I have a question then. My question is more like this to you, Des. Like, from what you say, like, I could totally understand why anybody should go into reading Umineko blind, like, just in general. Like, you can either read it blind because you have read Higurashi first and then read Umineko, or you could read it blind, like, as in you know nothing about Umineko and you know nothing about Ukishi, and then you read it blind. However, what I actually want to know is that, like, I find it kind of curious that, like, you are a very huge fan of Higurashi, and I would think, like, if I was the one who have read Umineko first and then read Higurashi, I would find Higurashi disappointing, like, lacking in characters I like, and just less narratively satisfying. Like, and I want to know why you don't think that. Yeah, like, I just want to know.
Because Ryukishi just has a really good way with first episodes. Both Legend of the Golden Witch and Onikakushi are extremely atmospheric. And, like, even though I cringed every time this man used some generic anime trope in Higurashi, I grew so attached to the characters. Like, I'm even getting emotional now just thinking about it, because you get to the end of Higurashi and you just feel like, man, I made friends in this visual novel. These characters are my friends. How am I feeling this towards fictional characters? I don't know, it's just the magic of Ryukishi writing. I can't explain it.
It is really special. Can I ask you this real quick, though, Des? let's say this. I read Higurashi, and then I go into Umineko. And could you consider that going in blind? Because the meta world is a pretty... Like, it's not explored super well at all in Higurashi, and you go into Umineko, and I felt like I was blind.
I wouldn't say it is, because even if you read Higurashi first, you're not gonna understand the Umineko meta world on the first episode. You're also gonna be confused, but you will have some things through which to guide your thoughts, to kind of, even if you don't understand the meta world, which you really will not on the first episode, you will at least have some ideas as to what may be going on, right? Because if you've read Higurashi and then you finish the first episode of Umineko, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, then maybe Batra was also trapped in here by some character, maybe Beato, and now he's gonna have to go through the loops and try to escape the loops by surviving till the end. Like, you have these small clues that will help guide your thought. Even if it's wrong, you have something to read to help yourself move forward and kind of formulate some kind of theory, as outrageous as it may be. But if you haven't read Higurashi, it's gonna be much more confusing, and that's what I find very valuable.
Yeah,
because you're learning about the world.
Sorry, Rhetoric, you can go.
I am not Rhetoric.
Oh, sorry. Fuck. I am so sorry, Anonymous. Please go.
I will say just one thing about the meta world in relation to Umineko and Higurashi. From Higurashi to Umineko, you get a huge evolution of the meta world and expands on it greatly. But reading Umineko to Higurashi, it is a massive devolution.
It's also just a massive downgrade, I believe.
Yes.
I wouldn't say that, because even though you don't have the meta world, it's just a different kind of story. Like in Umineko, you're much more on the meta world. In Higurashi, you're much more on the game board. It's just... And also, if you read Umineko first, you're gonna be familiar with Bern Castell. So you're gonna see Rika and you're like, okay, I guess this I'm gonna learn about Rika's backstory. What was it that fucking broke this cute character into being the Witch of Miracles, Bern Castell, the biggest bitch in all of the Sea of Fragments? You know?
I don't know. Even though, like, that's a very funny thing. I wish I can bring on people I know. I've been talking to a lot of people who actually only read Umineko exclusively, who are people who are very adamant about not wanting to read Higurashi, because they first thing, like, I guess I'm gonna out some people, but there are two people I know specifically in my other Discord group who told me they were like, they don't want to read Higurashi because they first didn't like the character design. They didn't like it's the fact, like, they thought like Umineko was a more adult story in a way where there's more adult characters. They didn't like it was a bunch of teenage kids. They also thought it was kind of like a torture porn in a way. Like, it's just like gory for gory's sake, and they just thought it was extremely edgy. So, like, a lot of people I know who are Umineko fans actually have never read Higurashi. In a way, they still was able to enjoy Umineko in the way that, just like how you said, completely blind, but they would just never be able to, like, even, like, get to Higurashi because they're just so, like, not willing to read it. Like, what would you want to say to those people then?
I guess that's the fear of... I'm gonna read Higurashi, and the idea of God of Ryukishi and When They Cry as a whole is gonna be completely destroyed, because Umineko is such a big masterpiece, and I'm scared of reading Higurashi and Higurashi not being good at all. I guess that's the fear they're feeling. And I guess what I would say to those people would be, like, it's okay if you don't want to read Higurashi. I just think that if you do end up reading it, you're... Okay, no, I'm gonna start again. Why did you start Umineko? It's a big risk, you know? It's a big visual novel. So, like, you've already taken such a big risk. I understand if you don't want to take another big risk, but if you want to take that risk, you may actually find something very good in Higurashi, just like you found in Umineko, by giving it that chance. And like, I'm not even gonna pretend Higurashi doesn't have some very bad things, like the humor in Onikakushi and Watanagashi specifically. Come on, Ryukishi, what the fuck? But if you manage to get past those parts, and Watanagashi specifically, it can be very boring in some parts. If you give it that chance, you're gonna most likely than not find something very magical in Higurashi. And really, Watanagashi is the poorest chapter in my opinion, but Onikakushi is as atmospheric as Legend of the Golden Witch. So yeah, start with Onikakushi. If you can get past the weird aspects of Higurashi, after reading Onikakushi, try Watanagashi. Brute force your way through Watanagashi, because I know you're gonna want to quit. And once you get to the second half of Watanagashi, you're gonna be hooked. And then Tataragoroshi is amazing, Himatsubushi is amazing, Tsumihoroboshi is amazing. What's after Tsumihoroboshi? No, Meakashi is amazing, Tsumihoroboshi is amazing, Minagoroshi is amazing, Matsuribayashi is amazing, Saikoroshi is amazing. And yeah, I think you're gonna like it. Be me spoon feeding Umineko fans into reading Higurashi.
I mean, I can agree with some of those points.
Higurashi is also a very important piece of knowledge you have to acquire in order to fully understand Bernkastel, Lambda Delta, and Valerin, who are like three of the most important characters in When They Cry. Well, you're just not going to understand those characters if you don't read Higurashi. At least not fully.
I'll tell you one thing. After reading Higurashi and moving into Umineko, I thought Battler as a protagonist was quite refreshing. Actually, I got kind of sick of Keiichi sometimes, to be honest.
I love Keiichi.
Well, like, I love him too, but, sometimes I was like, come on.
Yeah. Actually, I guess I'm probably not the best person to be arguing this, since I in a way I've been extremely emotionally divorced from Higurashi for a long time now. Like I'm not I think even back when I was reading Higurashi, even though I like the story aspect of it, I don't think I ever connected to the characters as much as that everybody else did. Like, I just wanted to know what happens, and they were all just pieces, and like these characters I found them just kind of to be annoying, or just like not as funny as I wish, like that as other people has thought them to be. So like I actually find it like super charming that other people really like them, because like I just never had that connection.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, maybe it will change. I haven't read it since back 7 years ago, or maybe more than that, 9 years ago. So maybe if I reread it, I would actually like fall in love with these people again. But like I just remember not like really caring. Like I thoroughly enjoyed the thrilling aspect of like the psychological horror, like the situations they were in, and like just a mystery aspect of it. But I didn't necessarily care if anybody got out of it or not. Like. Or anything, like, so like in the end I guess I did shed some tears when I got to the end, and you're like, wow, these people are gonna make it out. Like, I'm so glad they've been tortured. Like, that's like, I mean, no matter how like heartless you are, like watching children getting tortured does not like will still make you want them to live. I mean, but that doesn't necessarily equal to me like actual caring like about these characters. But like I think I had a way more visceral connection to like the Umineko characters, and the way that I was like, oh god, like I have been to family conversations like that are like this. Like I have had like tempestuous arguments, or I have had times when you could just be like, maybe I will just fucking plot to murder my whole family. Like not in that way, but
really,
but like in a way that like, but like I think there's a lot of people I know who like read Umineko-first, who really had a strong connection, might find that lacking. I don't know. Since I have not talked to a person who didn't like Higurashi and then went back to read Higurashi and liked it yet. So I could update you on that if I found somebody. But like I find a lot of people just find it lacking, that they don't think like Higurashi can plug that hole in their heart.
Yeah, I can see that being a fear, totally. Like, and then you start Higurashi and you see that your fears might kind of sort of be realized. You're like, oh,
I guess the best piece of advice is go into Higurashi, but try to not remember the fact that it's a when they cry novel. Like, go into Higurashi as you'd go into any other series, and keep Higurashi separated from Umineko in your mind, and until you really need to, like on the obvious connections between Rika and Bernkastel.
So just essentially wipe your brain like twice once before you read Umineko, once before you read Higurashi, and that's it.
No, it's basically if you've read Umineko and you would like to give Higurashi a chance, think about Higurashi as something completely separate. Okay, don't go try to have no expectations about Higurashi. Okay, that's the way to go.
Hey Des, do you know what a great way to do that is? If you read it first.
No, because I'd argue reading Umineko with no expectations is much more interesting than reading Higurashi with no expectations.
But it doesn't matter. You could still be a dumb bitch after reading Higurashi and then still going to Umineko and be like, I don't fucking understand whatever this is happening.
I'm gonna oust myself immediately. I was really, really, really dumb going through Umineko. Yep. I felt really lost, even with my help from Higurashi.
Now, yeah, thanks for saying that, because I feel like now I should say a bit of a disclaimer. Like, I'm not calling you dumb, dear listeners, in case you didn't find Umineko easy just because you read Higurashi first. That's not what I mean at all. What I meant is that you may have a bit of a clue here and there as to what's going on. Like, I totally understand it's still very hard to understand what's going on with Umineko, even if you've read Higurashi first, okay? I was not calling you dumb, I totally understand, okay? Okay, that is all.
That's funny. Do we have any more closing thoughts? There's more thoughts?
Okay, no, I think I had another argument. Let me think.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think so, but now it elapsed from my mind. Okay, what was my second argument? I literally had two of them. What?
I'll let you think about that, and I have something to add real quick.
Okay.
In terms of the meta world, I have finished Umineko, and I still don't understand the meta world completely. How many layers there are?
Okay, should I give a TED talk about how that works? Next episode.
No, there's no consensus.
There's no consensus. Like, for example, for me, my consensus of meta world is meta world exists in a way in Higurashi where Higurashi's meta world could actively change the world that they're in, as in the loops are actually happening, but in Umineko you could just literally chalk everything about meta world as just happening in people's brain. So you could say none of it necessarily happened.
That's the point. It's just okay. No, go on, Mushroom. I'm sorry.
No. What I'm saying is just that I don't think a lot of people really agree on what meta world is, because I am in the camp that believes that in Umineko you could read it as a straight story about people dealing with trauma and loss, and the meta world is just a place, essentially a mental place where you get to construct characters and that argue with each other to deal with your shit, but magic isn't real, and magic in the most literal sense, not the magic of the love or magic of hope, as in literal fucking bunny in a hat, out of a hat magic isn't real. And but I say that that's something you can argue about Higurashi, because in a way in Higurashi the concept of magic is real. They are living loops. They do retain memories from other loops. Fragments in a way do exist. And and I think but a lot of other Umineko fans might argue differently about how they interpreted the meta world though.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you how I interpret it, and you're gonna tell me if it makes sense or not. Because the way I look at it, and the most general description I can give of the meta world, is it's a world of concepts. What do I mean by this? I mean that anything that happens that is a concept happens in the meta world. For example, if you write a book, you're essentially creating characters that can exist in the meta world. When someone writes a fanfic about your book, people are creating a meta world, not creating a meta world. People are using the meta world with your characters and adding to those characters because they're picking the concept of your character and the concept of a setting and using that on the meta world to create a world inside the meta world. And those worlds are what we know as fragments. And so how do we explain Higurashi with this? Okay, I'm gonna shove my theory in here. Not my theory, my interpretation. Higurashi, for me, was written by Featherin. So what does this mean? Featherin created the concept of the world of Higurashi, the concept of all of these characters, put them together, and everything that happens in the meta world is just these concepts being mixed together in different ways. And the miracles that happen of people remembering other things that happen in other arcs is Featherin changing the rules of the game. Because the rule is pieces cannot remember other arcs. But if she took pity on Rika and said, okay, this time I'll change this rule and this character can remember other arcs. And that's how Keiichi starts remembering what happened in Orikashi and Watanagashi. And also, if we go along with some of the lines that are presented in Umineko, and Tsushi was the one who opened my eyes for this, the reason why Hanyu is able to kind of break the rule of not existing in the game board, and also the reason why in Matsuri Bayashi everything seems to fall into place, just like Akasaka being there, when the chance of that happening is like almost none, almost zero. That's because Lambda took pity on Rika. Because Lambda is the certainty that Takano will succeed, but Takano doesn't succeed. That's because Lambda took pity on her. So, and everything, all of this is happening on the meta world. If you think about eating an ice cream, you're eating an ice cream on the meta world. Because you've got the concept of all of this, and that's happening on the meta world. We all have the power of the meta world. Like I feel like a mad scientist, but that's exactly what the meta world should be. When we make fanfics on our heads, we're essentially existing on the meta world and putting fragments together to create this fanfic.
Damn.
So does this make any sense at all, or should I be given medical attention?
Okay, so what do the judges, what do the fellow fighters think?
I want him to draw me a picture. To be honest, like literally draw it.
I have my dude. I have.
So
have you not seen my Twitter? I literally made an artwork about that. Resurrected, you have failed me. You have failed me.
What? I don't follow you on Twitter.
You don't follow me? Okay, and you say that with that casual voice?
Okay, what's your Twitter? What's your Twitter?
I thought we were friends. No, I don't want you to follow me. Not anymore.
No, at least you should say it out loud so the fellow people of the listeners can follow you.
People, follow me on des_d_des on Twitter. Thank you very much. I make good memes, and I also make drawings. And sometimes I complain about stuff, but it's all related to when they cry. Don't worry.
His drawings are actually good. I like them.
Thank you.
Oh God.
Okay, so
anyway, anybody have any thoughts on the meta world that Des just said?
Cool.
That is so unhelpful.
Okay. Yeah, Yep.
Okay, could I go for something then?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. My only thought on this, what you're describing is that, in a way, you're not really describing Featherin anymore, you're just describing Ryukishi as a person. Isn't that he's just a writer?
Yeah.
That equals Featherin.
Ryukishi is the writer on the real world, and Featherin is... Okay, so this is even harder to explain because now I'm putting real world into this, and the real world has nothing to do with the world of Higurashi or Umineko. Okay, that's sometimes people think I'm putting the real world into this, and I'm not. Okay, Ryukishi is Ryukishi. Higurashi and Umineko are separate things from the real world. Okay, Featherin is the writer per se as Umineko and Higurashi for me. Featherin being the writer of Higurashi is generally accepted. Featherin being the writer of Umineko is generally not accepted, and people usually come after me for saying this, but I strongly believe in this. And I could talk for an hour as to why that's the case.
That is not okay. I can't believe you just said that.
It has to be... Look, okay. I'll just explain my theory in 1 minute. Yasu exists in the world of Umineko, right? She wrote the message bottles.
Oh, yeah.
Legend of the Golden Witch was picked up as a message bottle. And then Ikuko and Toya... Are those their names? I think that it is.
Yes, Ikuko and Toya.
Okay. The writer couple, they themselves got their hands on Confession of the Golden Witch, and this is supported by the manga. And then with Confession and all of the theories that were being thrown around on the internet, they decide, oh, wait a minute, let's make a story about this. This would be cool, right? And then Not Batra starts remembering what happened because, oh, wouldn't you know, I was there. I was in this incident we're writing stories about. And then he starts remembering everything, starts remembering Sayo, and that's what allows them to finally put the pieces together along with Confession of the Golden Witch, and that's what allows them to actually write about Sayo without having Sayo there telling them how she felt about stuff.
I mean, then we might as well just start arguing that Toya is just like a random piece of meat body that's getting astral projected Balor's memory.
No, okay, that's almost exactly what I believe in. Toya exists as a person, and when she writes, she implements Featherin as a character. Let's separate Umineko the story from Umineko the world. The real world of Umineko, for me, is the true ending of Anji's journey, which is all of the routes in which she doesn't die, and the meetings she has with Toya and with Ikuko, and also the endings. All of those are real world Umineko. Everything else we read about in Umineko was written by Featherin through Ikuko and Toya.
What?
That's what you believe? Wow.
My mind is literally blown to pieces.
So, like, you don't believe the meta world is actually above the real world in Umineko?
They are. That's the thing. They are on the same level because of love. If you believe, my fucking god. Okay, in a practical level, yes, the real world is above the meta world, but Umineko is all about love and golden truth, and that kind of elevates the meta world to the same level as truth as the real world in Umineko.
I don't...
It's really hard to explain without going into a 50-minute tangent. But...
So, like... Next podcast.
I feel like
theories.
Let's just say this. We currently have around like an hour of audio, so like we could continue. I feel like we're a little bit far away from our Higurashi first or Umineko first argument.
I agree.
Okay, then allow me to just say my last argument, which is really short, and I don't think anyone will have any big thoughts about this, which is that if you start with Higurashi, you're probably gonna read Umineko next. But as we proven here, if you read Umineko first, it's not guaranteed that you're gonna read Higurashi after that, because Umineko is just such a fucking masterpiece, and you don't want to be that experience to be kind of ruined by Higurashi in case you don't like it. What? Okay, post-production tests here, or actual during production. Whatever, I think my brain fried for a moment there. Not only does that not corroborate with what I've been defending this whole episode, it also wasn't what I was trying to say. I really don't know what happened there. What I meant to say is that I think you're much more likely to drop Higurashi halfway through if you start with Higurashi, then you are to drop Umineko halfway through if you start with Umineko. And if you do end up starting with Higurashi and dropping it, you're most likely then not gonna try Umineko out. And since I think it's much more likely that if you start with Umineko, you're just not gonna stop halfway through. So yeah, that was a stupid moment. Back to the discussion.
Okay, because Higurashi is a masterpiece too.
I think so too.
Alright. In that case, I will finally pull out my trump card for my closing argument.
What the fuck?
Activated my trap card.
After an hour.
Here, Dust, take
he's posting something.
Smoking room for the trump card.
Oh yeah! Oh my god, that must have been such a cool moment for you guys.
Ha! Ha ha ha!
Faito!
What's your
Nipa!
Nipa!
Nipa, motherfucker! I'm about to turn into the most evil character you're ever gonna read about in fiction, and I'm about to make these characters suffer even more than you think it's humanly possible.
Okay, so now we're at our end of our discussion. Does anybody want us to pull out some last punches so we can destroy deaths? Or
well, Anonymous just pulled out his knockout punch. Honestly, he posted, for those of you who aren't us, which I assume our listeners are not us mostly, but he posted in the chat when Bern Castell summons Rika.
Per se.
When she goes, I'm gonna help you, there's just once. Let me inspire you with my Nipa.
Faito.
Yep.
Desu.
Wow.
And that is the knockout blow. You need to understand the Nipa.
So now we're at our end. Does everybody have any closing statements besides the Nipa, or is that how we're gonna end this?
Nipa.
Be sure to subscribe and leave a like, please.
Whoa, slam that like button!
Smash that like button.
Otherwise, Bern Castell is gonna come and haunt you.
We'll catch you next time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
true.
Yeah, and I don't know, and tell me to leave in the comment section.
Who won?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, no, just
start
just
an argument
in
the comments.
Just reply so you can tell how wrong Des is, or you can talk about how you read Umineko first and now you would never want to read Higurashi. I'll take either of those options.
Well, if you read Umineko first and you're at the end of this, then you clearly made a horrible mistake.
I mean, but we didn't really spoil that much of Higurashi.
Okay.
What are you gonna spoil about Higurashi?
Characters die.
Characters do die.
Full Higurashi spoilers here.
No.
We did say there were going to be full spoilers at the start.
What? Are we gonna cash our check now? Is this when we're just gonna go full on berserker mode?
Okay, Onikakushi, Keiichi, Mio, and Rena die. Watanagashi, everyone dies.
No.
Tatarigorishi, everyone fucking dies.
Okay. So we should close out now. What else do you want to say before we go?
I'll say there were some good arguments on both sides here.
Shut up.
I am not going to be any centrist. I will say I won that.
There were some good arguments on both sides. But I think one side was heavily favored in this particular debate.
Of course, the Umineko side won. I think you're completely right.
You see, yeah, like Mushroom said, you can tell us in the comments how badly we destroyed Dust. Just don't make him cry too much.
Or if you want to, you can destroy us.
Yeah, exactly.
Higurashi
But you will not succeed in.
No, just
Facts don't
destroy
care
me,
about
please.
your feelings.
Yeah, you can come fight me at the Denny's parking lot.
Denny's, they're 24 hours.
Oh shit!
Get some
Exactly.
pancakes and orange juice first,
I've seen some
and
weird
then
things at
you
Denny's.
fight. Really? I don't
Yes.
like Denny's personally.
I don't think I actually ever stepped in foot in the Denny's before.
Really.
Yeah, what do they even serve?
Breakfast.
Okay. Yeah.
Like they serve eggs, pancakes, bacon.
Okay.
All that good stuff.
I've been to plenty of IHOPs, but never Denny's.
Yeah,
Hello
it's basically
everyone,
IHOP.
welcome to the
Yeah,
Dennis
they're-
podcast.
It's just a cop.
In the next episode.
Use our code to get
Okay.
5% discount.
We really
Okay.
need to end this out.
Alright, guys. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for attending
If
our
you're
tea
still
party.
watching this,
Then, according to the YouTube analytics, you're in the 7% of people who have watched the entire video.
Oh my god, how is
Wait,
this still going?
7%? It was 2% last time I checked. That's nice.
oh, it's
Oh, we have some
7% for the
improvement.
videos I checked. I checked
Wow.
our Higurashi and our Umineko.
Wow.
Podcast.
Five
Please
let
people
this
watched
end.
the video till the
Goodbye.
end.
Have a
We
nice
need
day.
to. It's
Okay.
over.
Okay, we're gonna do the say goodbye thing. We're gonna do the outro. Are you ready, guys?
Let me close this. Let me
3,
close this.
2, 1.
What are we supposed to say exactly? Because I've got something to say.
Yes,
at the
you
end.
just said you were gonna close.
Okay.
I don't
No,
know
because
how to
You're
close.
supposed to do Battlers Live.
oh.
God damn it.
Because I had another idea, but okay. I guess okay,
Oh.
now we can
I think
do the battle line.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
3,
2,
2, 1.
See you again. Have a nice
See
day.
you again.
Have a nice day.